Hey there, friends. Happy Sunday. I never do videos like this, but I just wanted to share this because I'm actually having um some fun. So this is the ancient Italian tarot that I got on Amazon, and I ordered it and then I immediately canceled it because I said, you know what, I don't need it. I had ordered another. That sounded weird. I had ordered another deck, and decided to keep that other one, which hasn't come in yet, and cancel this one. And so when I got a alert this morning that my package had been delivered, I thought, yay! And I opened it up, and I thought, I know I canceled this. So I went and looked at my Amazon account, and I thought maybe I canceled the other one, but I didn't. So I don't know. I remember vividly canceling this one, so whatever. Um, but it's fine because I actually really like it. It's, in terms of a Marseille style deck, it's actually a little bit easier to read than my other Marseille deck because the all the pips have numbers on them. The other one that I've been using is the Jodorowsky, which follows the French system, and the pentacles or the coins don't have numbers. But that's not even the point of this video. The point of the video is that I was looking at it, and the fronts are actually fine. But the back, I thought, ugh, how sad is it that this back has this white border around it? Because it'd be like a really cool back. And I'm not used to seeing these old Marseille style decks with a border. So I took the extra card and I thought, oh, I really want to cut around the white border, but things are never that well centered on these decks. But I'm going to give it a try. The problem is that the extra card doesn't have the same border that the actual cards do. It was a completely different setup, so I had to sort of hold it up to the window and up to a light to see if I could get anywhere near it. And what I ultimately ended up doing was taking my phone, matching the backup, and then shining the flashlight on my phone up through the back to see if it would work. And actually, this is an uncommonly... I have to give Lo Scarabo credit, because this is an uncommonly well-centered deck. Normally when I trim a deck, which I do occasionally, but normally when I do, I trim along the front border because I know that the back border won't be centered, and there'll be some kind of wonkiness. But in this one, I just took the chance, and I've been trimming around the back border around this border, and it's been working really, really well. Like, this is uncommonly well centered. And the fronts look nice, but the backs look so much better. So I'm gonna do one. Just, everyone's seen someone trim a deck before, but I'm so delighted by... Is this even on? How freaking well it's coming out. Watch me screw this one up, right? Because I'm recording myself doing it. I've been really spoiled by the indie decks that I've been experiencing lately. So that when I get one of these mass market decks, if it's not quite as perfect as the indie, even when indie decks are not perfect, when there's like some sort of thing I wish were different, so much thought and effort went into them that I'm usually so delighted by it, and its imperfections just make it even better. See, like, nothing's lost there by trimming around the back, so I'm really excited. And then I do, when I do the corner rounding, use the front. You get a little loss with the majors. I haven't noticed this on the minors, but not even that much. A lot of people, I've seen people using this one and not liking it. It's actually been working well for me, but I really had to learn how to use it. Because if you don't get it right in the corner, it screws it up, and it's impossible to fix. But so yeah, I'm really digging it. Again, the front, it doesn't look all that different front-wise to me. Um, but the backs look just so much better, in my opinion, than this. So, anywho, I'm going to do the rest of this. I don't think I'm going to edge it or anything. Maybe I will. I don't know. I guess it could get a little gold. We'll see. But I just want to share that. I'll maybe come back when it's all done and share it with you, and then do some sample readings and talk about how I've been practicing with my pip decks in honor of March of the Pips. So maybe there'll be another section to this video. Act 2 of our show shortly. All right. I'm back. So I will say this about life. There are very few more relaxing ways to spend a Sunday evening than watching the Golden Girls and trimming a tarot deck. So I finished trimming the Ancient Italian Tarot. As I said earlier, I thought I had canceled this order, but it showed up anyway. So evidently it wants to be in my world right now, and I'm actually happy that it showed up. So I just wanted to kind of show you how it looks trimmed. And the original, I mean, it's not, this is another card that came in the pack. It actually doesn't look anything like the deck itself, but you can kind of see how much smaller it is. Not that much. Honestly, this is the only deck I've ever trimmed where I trimmed it because of the back, but it just looks so much better. It really, really does. And let me try to get around here. It still shuffles really well. I, on the other hand, keep knocking the camera. So it's really nice. I love the way it looks now. Let me get this stuff out of the way. It just, it really just looks really great. I feel like that was something I used to do when I was a kid. I never thought about that as a reader. But yeah, it really looks good. I haven't edged it in anything. But boy, that's entertaining. But I don't know if it needs to be. The front, it's got kind of a gray cast to it. And oops, I need to calm down. I'm so amped up right now. I don't know, but then the front has got this orange sort of gold. So I don't know that it needs it. I don't know. We'll see. I've only really got metallics and sort of a tea stained one, but it's not bothering me majorly. It's really hard to shuffle around a camera. So what I thought I would do, having done this, because I'm so happy to have done it that I want to play with the deck a little bit. I'm like a little kid right now. It's been a really rotten week. It's not been a bad week. It's just been, it's just been a week. So, what I thought I would do is share with you kind of just something I've been doing to work with pips and work with the numerology. Many of you saw my spreadsheet that I shared, and I posted that. And that was good practice. In terms of thinking about how the numerology correspondences filter through the suit and then filter through light and shadow. I went a little bit further and I made just like a number correspondence that I could kind of carry around with me. And I also put that on my website as well, if you want it. It's the correspondences ultimately aren't all that different from what you can find on any website. But what I wanted to do, and the reason I made that spreadsheet, and the reason I did what I did, was that I wanted to look at as many sources as made sense, and sort of primary source material or secondary source material, and and part of the learning process for me is the researching and the typing it out and the going through the process of distilling it. So from all of those sources in that initial spreadsheet, distilling it down and then filtering it through. um but the reality of learning anything is that the main thing is you have to go in and do it. So what I've been doing is just little 3 card readings, with pip decks, and just, practicing. The thing that is worth pointing out is that I've talked a lot about context in the past, and I've talked about how general readings are fine, and most of the time people want them, and that's great. Like that's when we're reading for other people, we're here to give them a reading that they want. But the more specific we can be with the question, the more specific we can be with the reading. And when people sort of look at a spread of cards and they're trying to figure out whether the cards are in their light and shadow aspects, I think a lot of it has to do with context. So if we're to pull 3 cards out of context, with no, let me move this down a little bit. Boink. 3 cards out of context with no question. We can do a decent job, or I can do a decent job. The reason I say this is because I'm happier as a reader. Sorry, I just noticed I had a stain on my shirt, because that's the kind of nerd I am right now, apparently. So in a general reading, we pull 3 cards and we look at them, and so we get, in this case, the Lover, the 8 of Pentacles, and the Knight of Wands. And as I've talked about before, I look for the strongest energy in a general reading, in this case the 3. So the strongest energy, generally, if there's a major, will be the major. Sorry, the phone rang and it shut off my recording. And in this case, the Lovers. So what I do, if that's the case, or what I've started to do, partly after reading the open reading by Yoav Bendov, is if there is a major in the reading, to let that suggest to me the overall theme. So if I'm doing a general reading and there's a major arcana card, then I kind of look at the energy of the card, and I think about making sound choices, right? This is an older looking deck, so I go with kind of an older looking meaning for the card. So I say, oh, this is a reading about choices. And then now I look at the other 2 cards in relationship to that. So it becomes, for me, about the 8, which is about hard work, essentially. It's about putting in the effort. And then Pentacles are about, or coins are about, money, finances, well-being, work, and family for me. So I then look at the final card, the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is a hunter, a passionate hunter. He's going out and he's looking for things that are really firing him up. So what this reading then comes to me to be about, and I almost want to reorder the cards in a way, is to say that this is a time where this person is in, say I've got little pieces of card corner. This is a time where this person is making major choices, and they really have a choice between doing the hard work in their life, the banal work though, the work that needs to be done, their job in this case. That's one choice. The other choice is going out in search of the things that really fire them up. So do they go and do the work of their day-to-day life? Do they continue with their job and their responsibilities? Or do they go off hunting for something that's really going to fire them up? And so the reading then becomes about casting the choice. The job of the reader isn't to tell the person what the best answer is. What the job of the reader is ultimately is to say, here's the reality, here's what I'm seeing objectively. um the the lover card is an interesting card because its light and shadow are very subtle. In its light mode, it's making the higher choice, making uh the most responsible choice, making the clear choice. In its shadow mode, I would say it's about making the reckless choice or the seductive choice. um and so the reality is that the person that I'm reading for in this case would ultimately need to sort of figure out whether the responsible choice or the glamorous choice is really what's going to do the right thing for them. But they they're grown up theoretically, right? Because I don't read for anyone who isn't. They have enough life experience to kind of know what the right thing is. And I don't think this reading necessarily says what the right thing to do is. I think that it's not an easy choice, but it is a choice. We could go further and shuffle more and add more cards if we wanted to. I'm not opposed to adding more cards. um this is interesting. So if I add more cards, I get the Emperor and the Nine of Cups. So the Emperor very nicely fits in with the Eight of Pentacles here, because it's doing the hard work, making the responsible choice, making the strong, moral, somewhat dry, powerful choice. This is saying I'm going to buck up and do the thing. The Nine of Cups takes us to a more open and romantic way of thinking, or way of approaching life, but with a little bit of anxiety. The nine, in my experience, in my reading, showcases a little bit of anxiety due to uncertainty. So in the final push toward the completion of the suit, there's sort of everything that's come before, and the feeling of having done all this work, and coming close to trying and getting somewhere new, because the 10 starts a new cycle as well as ending a cycle, but not knowing what's there, not knowing what the ultimate ending will be, because we're not quite at the ending yet. So with the Knight and the Nine of Cups, the choice is a little bit more anxiety ridden, but also more romantic. And the potential certainly is for a wish fulfillment and a great amount of joy and sort of feeling this beautiful feeling, but not quite knowing what you're getting into. On the other hand, doing the practical path takes you to a more rigid but very sturdy place. Um, so, I'm just going through some things that I've been thinking about and practicing with. I don't know why I'm so manic tonight. I really wasn't feeling that way. And then I started this little video. I'm going to take a breath and recenter. But without a question was the point of this. Without context, I kind of let the reading show me context. And if there is a primary card, a major arcana card, I let that suggest the theme. And I have no problem rearranging the cards to address that theme, or picking more cards to explore it further. There's something, as I've been researching in the last month or two, reading this way without the Rider-Waite-Smith system, that I've found kind of freeing, and I didn't expect it, because you're not bound so much by the theater of the card, the scene design, the given circumstances. In playwriting and in theater, and maybe even in short story writing, and I'm not as well versed in that world, you learn to look for the given circumstances. And in a Rider-Waite-Smith card, it's difficult not to see the given circumstances of, in like the case of the Nine of Cups, a dude with a table full of cups, and this sort of robust slightly haughty, attitude. Or I'm thinking right now of I think it's the Line Strider Tarot. The Nine of Cups has a cat that's eaten a canary, I think, if I remember correctly. It's when that's in front of you, it's hard not to see that. But in this case, all I'm thinking about is the fact that in my learning, there's a little bit of anxiety in the nine due to uncertainty, the transition from past to the future, but the future not yet being fully formed. And what I don't get contaminated by, and that may be a strong word, but what I don't get contaminated by is the picture of a fat, happy man, or a cat eating a canary. So, but as always, context can help. So basically what I've been doing are these little practice readings really quickly, inspired entirely by Kelly from the Truth and Stories sort of deck interview process. And she has an amazing video, which I'm going to try to remember to link below, on how she does a deck interview. It's not really a deck interview spread. She basically does these really quick 3 card readings throughout the whole deck to see how the deck feels, and how the combining of the cards together works for her. And I love that. And this is sort of how I've been practicing this new method of reading for me, which is sort of less about the image and more about the numbers and the suits. But the thing is, the thing that I noticed in doing it early on is that the numbers, I said this in my other reading, is that by and large, the numbers are pretty neutral to positive. The exceptions are probably the 5 and the 9. The 5 is flat out generally negative. It's about disruption, although disruption can be a good thing. The 9 for me deals with anxiety for the most part due to uncertainty in that final push. Again, that can be a positive thing, but it depends. Without context, the tendency in my case was to really just read the light aspect or the positive aspect. So context can tell me whether I should be looking at light or shadow. So, for example, if someone were to come and read or ask for a reading and ask about their relationship, I've been feeling unhappy in my relationship. What may I want to look at going forward? That gives me some context. And if I get cards that that have a possibility of being positive or negative or light or shadow, it's a bit easier to tell, because the context should give me a clue. So if we work with that, and we have a question about someone who's been unhappy in their relationship and they want to know what they should expect. This is not a great example, actually, because there are no pips in it. So I'm going to skip this. The ending in the star card, I would say, I would ultimately that there's probably a chance that, so I guess I am going to look at it, right? So you have the Queen of Cups, look to the Chariot and the Star. What should they look at? They should focus on their emotional maturity and their ability to nurture feelings in a way to push the relationship forward, and that they could actually be hopeful about a better resolution. But that's not what I'm focusing on, because what I'm really looking at are the pips. So we're going to get, okay. So, what can I look at going forward in my relationship? Looking at these 2 cards right out of the gate, I feel a greater sense of uncertainty and a basis of probably a relationship that started more from sexual attraction than from mutual admiration. So it was probably a very lusty, sexy relationship initially, but we are in the state of confusion. The 9 of Pentacles in this case, or the 9 of Coins, again, we have another 9, uncertainty due to, or anxiety due to uncertainty, and the not yet formed information about the next step. So confusion sort of abounds. So if the question is, what can I expect? Then what you can expect is probably more confusion and underlying with a strong urge, a strong sexual urge, and maybe even an addiction to the relationship. But the relationship in itself is in a state right now where the next stage isn't fully formed. And you're going to feel anxious about that. If it's a question of what do I do, it's probably a matter of looking at the relationship as differently as possible, facing the uncertainty, and digging down into the roots of the reasons that the relationship came to be. But that gives me a little bit more context. So in this case, with the relationship being for someone who's unhappy, I'm probably looking more at a shadow in the case of the Nine of Pentacles, because they aren't happy, and so the relationship causes anxiety, and its uncertainty causes anxiety. What you should do is probably try to identify the source of that anxiety and look more clearly at where things are headed if they keep going this way. And if the root is the devil and you're feeling kind of suspended and stuck, it's unlikely that any energy, in this reading says, oh, everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? What we get is sort of a sense of suspension and a sense of addiction. So the uncertainty needn't actually be all that uncertain, because ultimately, if things stay the way they are, they're going to keep going the way they are, in a sense, if that makes any sense. I'm not at my clearest tonight. I'm also pretty tired. If there were a question about a job, should I start looking for a new job? Three's about growth. It's about things moving into initial stages, two parts coming into one. We get Trump 13, and then we get the Page of Pentacles. If this is a question of a job, well, Pentacles are a really great suit for that, because they're about practicality, they're about jobs, they're about money. The Three and the Page both have an early phase aspect to them, and this is about transition and endings. So I would say this might be a good time to actually explore new options. There may be some energy right now that's very fertile for creating some new things. You've been learning some new things, and you're ready to sort of enter a world where you're not the expert, and you're also ready to kind of harvest what's come before and make room for something new, as I look at this card as sort of fertilizing the ground for something to come. So looking at this, is now a good time for me to look for a new job, or should I look for a new job? Based on this, I'd say, yeah, hell yeah. This seems like a really good opportunity to make some change. The energy is really fresh. It's really young. There is a relationship between the 3 and the 13, in a sense. We have 3 and 13. So, and then the Page is a very studenty, youthful energy. So, yeah, I would say if that were the question here, then this would be a great time to do that. So that's how I've kind of been working through this just like I practiced when I was starting. These are all majors. So here we've got, let's say this is a question about a project that they've been working on for a few years. I've got the 5 of Swords, the 6 of Wands, and the Page of Cups. So some disruptive thinking has happened. Some thoughts have come up that have probably cut through the gentle, stable space that they've been thinking of. So they are kind of wondering if there can be progress made. There's some worry that this disruption is going to get in the way of the project, and they may have a hard time communicating that, or they may have communicated that, and they're worried that it's going to cause problems. But the 6 of Wands, the 6 is about harmony, union, transcending problems, overcoming problems. So this new thought, this new disruptive way of thinking about the project may actually help improve the quality of the project, improve the relationships of the project, and give them some unity over the project. So if they raise this concern, they may actually have a more healing experience than they expect, and they'll all end up learning something new about how they feel about this project. Again, I'm just sharing with you what I'm working on. I'm working through my inner monologue, but it's been really fun and actually really freeing, and much more than I expected. When I started reading, I remember when I started learning to read tarot, I remember an early article saying that some people really don't like Rider-Waite-Smith systems because they find the images distracting. And I thought, well, oh, but that's so sad. You know what I mean? Because the pictures are so great and so beautiful, and I'm still a lover of so many scenic decks. But I kind of get it now, 17 years later, 18 years later. So it's been a lot of fun. So anyway, I will end this ramble, this more than usual tangential ramble. And anyway, that's that. I hope this is interesting, at least, even if I'm far from making sense tonight. And let me know if you have any questions. And let me know what you're doing if you're interested in this and what you're working on. And also, look how cool this looks. I'm so happy I trimmed it. I really wasn't expecting to. I wasn't even expecting the deck to arrive because I thought I canceled the order. So, that's what I got for you. Happy Sunday. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.